This one I can't. This one I absolutely can't. So when I do what's right here,
Make a good recording, dude. Write that on here. Write that on the I will see you in about an hour. Yes. What's going on? Oh, you're gonna sign up right now? All right. I don't have the pen. You got a pen? All right.
This panel very good. I was doing pretty well at Mystic Square before I came over.
All right.
James is there.
Jim just got back there?
Yeah, James, I just need to call James back there. And I know Parsi headed back there. Parsi left there?
Oh, she went to back to
She said she was heading.
Can I snag this for a bit, or do you need to keep this?
Can I sign up? And then
I need to get this over to the game room.
Okay, I'll sign
Yeah,
up
sign up.
after then.
You will be able to sign up, not to worry. Yes, it's a sign up.
It's what?
Pod, Fans Megara Power Gym.
Don't care about that much.
Which one are you going for?
Probably Soku on Sunday. He's so next.
Yeah, so we're going to have a huge crowd for that.
I wonder what's the skill level here.
This is my first time here, so I have no idea.
I wasn't around last year, so I don't know.
I feel like it's a pretty wide range of apps and really good skilled, and we definitely have some who are just starting, so.
I played on some communities online, but I haven't heard of anybody there saying that they're coming here this weekend, so I don't know if there's anybody that
Well, Soku is set up in the gaming room, so if you want to practice, feel free to.
Yeah, I'll go check it out eventually.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of screens, so it's a matter of.
Oh my God, Miles, you look it took me so long to figure out why you weren't talking about
Oh, hello.
Amber, this panel had better be good. I was doing well in Mystic Square before I came over here.
It's really warm.
You look quiet though.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to PC 98.
So by PC98, we will mean the older game in the series, but older doesn't mean that they're not as good as the other ones, because there are some fantastic games.
Now, in Japanese fan base, Toho 1 to 5 is typically called Toho Old Works. The North American fandom, on the other hand, just calls them the PC98. Now, what is a PC98? Now, it was a computer slash console. The full name is the NEC PC9801, and it was an extremely popular home computer model sold in Japan. Now, it never made it to the West, which is regrettable because it actually has the largest game collection of any console to date. It had a huge, huge game library. And there was quite a variety of different game genres released on the PC98. It was primarily shooters like Toho, and so much hentai, you can't even imagine it. It was literally the hentai console. Now, overall, go ahead.
This console was very well known for its good sound quality, but had a bit of color problems. That's why the colors are so varied in it, which results in some stuff in some of these Toho games that is just eye-bleeding to see sometimes.
We're looking at you, Mystic Square, which has a white background with white bullets with a white shot type. Yeah. Not always the best. So, while it was known for its awesome sound system, it still has one of the best for its time period. Terrible, terrible color resolution. Now, Toho was actually interesting because it appeared on the PC98 during its decline. It was already a dying console when Toho first came onto it. So when the first Toho game came out, people were already not buying this anymore, which that and the fact that it was Dojin explained its extremely low selling price. Typically, each Toho game was like $5 when they came out.
How much are they now?
They're typically 1,000 each now. 1,000 each, and the 5-in-1 disc is approximately 5,000 plus. And because we never got this console in the West, most people emulate it. Pretty much the only way, unless you import one of these babies from Japan, is to emulate these games. It's very common.
So here you have an image of what the actual console looked like. Now you can see at the bottom that it seems to be kind of a floppy disk based. And yeah, the first Toho games, their disk looked about like this here. This is the one for Story of Eastern Wonderland.
Now the first two games were on one floppy, and then 3 to 5 they actually needed 2 floppies to hold the full game, so you'd have 2 little installation floppies to work with. Just like that.
Didn't breathe.
Now physical copies of these are pretty hard to come by nowadays. Most of them were released in very limited quantities. We're looking about 100 to 300 of each game. There's also the pretty much legendary 5-in-1 disc, which I believe only 5 copies ever were created. That one actually plays on the Chroma PC.
So what is also interesting to note about these games is that these are the only games where it's not only Zone behind everything. He was actually teaming up. It was during his college days, and they had formed a group called Amusement Maker.
This was at the Tokyo Denki University, and pretty much it was a little school club dedicated to making doujin games. Now, pretty much the first 5 games were made under the Zoonsoft label, and it was in 2002 that he changed the name to Team Shanghai Alice, and it was also when Embodiment was released that he retired all 5 of the first games from sale.
So after 2002, no more copies were printed or sold as new.
Pretty much the very first Toho game, Toho 1 and 2 were actually sold at the exact same time. It was at Comic at 52. He only sold 30 copies. So it was very humble beginnings at this point.
So here you have the game covers of all 5 games. So what's another interesting point to note is how much experimentation you were doing. We first started with highly responsive to prayers, which plays absolutely nothing like the other Toho games that we now have on PC.
It is Arkanoid. There is no other way to say it. It is Arkanoid with a Shrine Maiden. It's still very fun, though it's a very, very rough game. Then we have, obviously, Story of Eastern Wonderland, which kind of set the stage for what Toho would become. The typical,